Kim Jong Un doesn't just travel, he moves with a fortress. From armored trains stocked with lobster and French wine to bodyguards drilled like elite commandos, his protection costs millions every year. Entire military units exist solely to shield one man, while even his cars and planes are custom built to prevent any threat. Stay until the end when we reveal the hidden command force of over 100,000 soldiers guarding Kim's every step. Kim Jong Un's running bodyguards, the human shield. One of the most iconic images of Kim Jong-un is not of him alone, but of the men who run beside him, his elite running bodyguards. These individuals, dressed in tailored Western speech suits, move in perfect synchronization with the North Korean leader, forming a human shield that has become a global spectacle. Their presence is more than ceremonial. It is the first visible layer of a multi-million-dollar security system designed to protect one man at all costs. Selection into this unit is ruthless. Candidates are drawn from the Korean People's Army with requirements that go far beyond athleticism. Each must match Kim's own height to maintain uniformity, eliminating visual distractions during public appearances. Perfect vision is mandatory, as is flawless health. Beyond physicality, they must demonstrate mastery in marksmanship, martial arts, and hand-to-hand combat. The vetting process digs into family history across 2 generations, ensuring absolute loyalty and eliminating any risk of political unreliability. Once chosen, these guards undergo years of specialized training that rivals special forces programs. They learn evasion tactics, quick reaction drills, and even how to anticipate threats in crowded environments. Communication is kept deliberately simple but effective. Coded hand gestures, visual pins worn discreetly, and spoken passwords exchanged in low tones. Every move is rehearsed, every possible scenario gamed out. Their duties are not limited to running beside Kim. In motorcades, they form concentric circles around his Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a car valued at over $150,000, customized with armor plating and reinforced glass. When Kim attends summits abroad, these guards are seen flanking him in hotel lobbies, inspecting routes, and even testing food security in collaboration with other layers of his protective network. Each detail, down to their identical suits, polished shoes, and earpieces, projects both discipline and intimidation. Most serve about 10 years before moving into other regime roles, often rewarded with prestigious positions for their loyalty. Their careers may shift, but their image remains etched into the public mind. The synchronized protectors sprinting beside Kim's limousine or jogging alongside his armored train. The spectacle of these bodyguards has become a symbol of North Korea itself, disciplined, secretive, and utterly focused on protecting the supreme leader. Do you think this human shield is more about real protection or projecting fear and power to the world? Comment Human Fortress if you believe it represents both. The Supreme Guard Command, 120,000 soldiers for one man. If Kim Jong-un's running bodyguards are the visible spectacle, the Supreme Guard Command is the hidden fortress. Known officially as Unit 963, this organization is a sprawling protective apparatus of between 95,000 and 120,000 personnel, making it larger than the active militaries of some European nations. Its sole mission is the protection of Kim Jong-un, his residences, and every step he takes beyond Pyongyang. The command operates in concentric layers. The innermost circle is formed by the bodyguards seen at public events, but beyond them lies an intermediate line of soldiers who secure the immediate vicinity. Roads, hotels, and even temporary venues are swept and locked down hours in advance. Extending further, an outer perimeter ensures a protective buffer within a half-mile radius, with checkpoints, surveillance posts, and fences built or reinforced as needed. When Kim travels to high-profile locations, such as the St. Regis Hotel in Singapore during the 2018 summit, the Supreme Guard Command's presence is unmistakable. Hundreds of personnel fan out across the property, installing surveillance cameras, metal detectors, and communication relays worth millions. Local staff are replaced with hand-picked operatives, and even seemingly trivial items, bottled water, cigarettes, imported liquor, are tested by specialized teams to eliminate any possibility of tampering. Medical security is equally prioritized. Teams of doctors and paramedics trained in emergency procedures accompany Kim wherever he goes, carrying advanced kits that can rival hospital operating rooms. Logistics units ensure a constant supply of food, beverages and personal effects, all sourced from trusted providers inside North Korea and screened with exhaustive checks before they ever reach Kim's table. The structure of the command resembles that of a modern army. 6 departments oversee functions ranging from intelligence gathering to communications. 3 combat brigades stand ready to respond to larger threats, supported by several bodyguard divisions and even a construction battalion that can fortify temporary sites on short notice. Estimates suggest that maintaining this vast network costs the regime hundreds of millions annually, a staggering figure for a country with limited economic resources. The Supreme Guard Command embodies the paradox of North Korea, a nation struggling under sanctions yet willing to deploy an entire army to protect one man. Its existence highlights how, in Pyongyang's worldview, the survival of Kim Jong Un is synonymous with the survival of the state itself. Luxury trains of the Kim dynasty. Among the most striking features of North Korea's leadership is its obsession with trains. Armored, luxurious, and wrapped in secrecy, the tradition began with Kim Il-sung, who favored rail over air travel, seeing it as both safer and more practical for moving across the Soviet-aligned bloc. His journeys to Eastern Europe often included long convoys of heavily guarded carriages, each equipped not just for transport, but for diplomacy and display. Kim Jong-il, his son and successor, elevated the practice into something closer to royal theatre. Famously fearful of flying, he transformed his trains into mobile palaces. By the early 2000s, he traveled in a convoy that stretched across 90 carriages. Inside were conference rooms lined with polished wood, banquet halls with chefs preparing imported delicacies like fresh lobster and caviar, and pantries stocked with French Bordeaux wine priced at hundreds of dollars per bottle. Some cars even hosted live entertainment, with musicians performing during long journeys. When Kim Jong-il traveled to Moscow in 2001, the spectacle captured headlines. A ruler who moved not by jet, but by armored train that doubled as both fortress and luxury hotel. Analysts estimated that the cost of building and maintaining such a train easily exceeded $10 million, making it one of the most expensive moving residences in the world. Kim Jong Un inherited not only the symbolism but also the rolling stock itself. His personal train, often referred to as Tango, is a continuation of the dynasty's mobile fortress. Externally, it looks imposing. Green carriages with reinforced armor, bulletproof windows, and military escorts riding ahead and behind. Internally, reports suggest leather seating, imported flat-screen televisions, and communications equipment rivaling those of government command centers. The carriages include dining rooms where meals can feature premium beef imported despite sanctions, with prices reaching hundreds of dollars per kilogram, alongside Korean delicacies prepared by chefs loyal to the regime. The estimated value of Kim's train, including armored modifications and onboard technology, has been placed at well over $50 million. The train is slow, deliberately so. During his 2019 journey to Vladivostok to meet Vladimir Putin, Kim traveled 300 miles in nearly 20 hours. The sluggish pace is a byproduct of the heavy armor and the security protocols. Tracks must be inspected in advance, railways cleared of other traffic, and alternate routes secured. Helicopters and guards patrol nearby terrain to prevent sabotage. For the Kim family, these trains are more than transport. They are symbols of continuity, an extension of the leader's persona, combining luxury with absolute security. In a nation where appearances matter as much as survival, the armored train remains one of the most enduring images of dynastic power. Kim Jong-un's aircraft and luxury cars. While the Kim dynasty is best known for its armored trains, Kim Jong-un has also invested heavily in the skies. His most iconic aircraft is the Ilyushin Il-62, known locally as Cham 1. Originally a Soviet design, the plane was retrofitted to serve not as a standard airliner, but as a flying palace. The cabin is fitted with leather seating, conference rooms, and private quarters for Kim himself. Analysts estimate that the cost of maintaining and modernizing the Il-62 runs into the $10 million, making it one of the most expensive state aircraft in East Asia. It has been used for diplomatic missions, including transporting Olympic delegations and summits with world leaders. To complement this aircraft, Kim also employs a Ukrainian Antonov AN-148, a smaller jet that provides flexibility for regional travel. State media has broadcast images of him boarding this aircraft, signaling both versatility and control. Together, these planes give him options: the grandeur of a long-haul luxury jet and the efficiency of a regional carrier, both tailored to his personal needs and security requirements. Kim has even been filmed piloting smaller aircraft himself, emphasizing his persona as a hands-on leader. Such appearances are highly choreographed, but they serve an important function, showing both domestic and foreign audiences that North Korea's leader is in control, even in the cockpit. On the ground, his choices are equally symbolic. At the 2018 Inter-Korean Summit, Kim arrived in a Mercedes-Benz S600 Pullman Guard, a limousine valued at nearly $1.6 million in its armored configuration. The car, designed to withstand ballistic threats and explosive devices, was accompanied by the now famous phalanx of running bodyguards. Other vehicles in his fleet reportedly include Maybach sedans and luxury SUVs imported despite international sanctions, each costing well over $200,000. These cars, with their glossy exteriors and custom armor, project an image of invulnerability, while signaling to the world that Kim aligns himself with the same brands favored by global elites. Together, Kim's aircraft and luxury cars form more than transportation. They are mobile stages for power. Every plane, every limousine, every convoy is designed to reinforce the message that he is both untouchable and comparable in wealth to the world's most powerful figures. Do you think Kim's obsession with luxury brands is about personal taste, or is it a calculated move to project power? Comment "Luxury Fortress" if you believe it serves both. Inside the structure of Supreme Guard Command. The Supreme Guard Command is often called North Korea's state within a state, a sprawling organization that has grown alongside the Kim dynasty itself. Originally formed in 1946 as a small protective detachment for Kim Il-sung, it took on a formal role during the Korean War, when safeguarding the supreme leader was seen as inseparable from safeguarding the regime. Over decades, this unit transformed into a massive security architecture that today numbers between 95,000 and 120,000 personnel. Under Kim Jong-il, the command expanded dramatically. In the late 1000s, 990s, he created a special protective branch known as the 2.16 unit, named after his birthday, dedicated solely to his personal security. This was an era of heightened paranoia, and the command became more militarized, equipped with new weapons, armored vehicles and surveillance equipment sourced from abroad. Despite sanctions, training regimens intensified, including martial arts, precision marksmanship, and counter-espionage tactics. Kim Jong Un inherited this machinery but has worked to modernize it. Surveillance technologies have been updated to include advanced cameras, encrypted communications systems, and electronic countermeasures designed to jam drones or intercept foreign signals. Specialized subunits now focus on cyber monitoring, chemical and biological threat detection, and rapid deployment in case of emergencies. Observers note that some of this technology mirrors systems used in countries like China and Russia, though tailored for North Korea's unique environment. The organizational chart of the Supreme Guard Command reveals a structure closer to that of a conventional army corps than a palace guard. It contains 6 core departments, each responsible for intelligence, communications, logistics, counterintelligence, operations, and medical services. Supporting these are 3 combat brigades, each with armored vehicles and heavy weaponry, ready to repel any larger-scale threat. Multiple bodyguard divisions maintain close contact with Kim during public appearances, while a dedicated construction battalion builds and fortifies temporary sites, sometimes erecting fences, watchtowers, and bunkers within hours. Maintaining such a vast apparatus comes at extraordinary cost. Analysts estimate the budget reaches into the hundreds of millions of dollars annually, an immense figure for a country under international sanctions. Yet this investment is considered non-negotiable in Pyongyang's hierarchy of priorities. Every palace, train station, and hotel that Kim visits is effectively turned into a fortress by this command. The Supreme Guard Command is thus more than a security unit. It is the embodiment of the regime's principle that the leader's survival and the state's survival are one and the same. The Korean People's Army, backbone of regime security. The Korean People's Army, or KPA, is more than North Korea's military. It is the backbone of the regime itself. With origins tracing back to the Korean People's Revolutionary Army in 1932, it grew from a guerrilla resistance against Japanese occupation into one of the most centralized and politicized armed forces in the modern world. Its purpose is not only to defend the nation's borders, but to secure the survival of the Kim dynasty. Today, the KPA is estimated to command over 1.2 million active troops, placing it among the largest standing armies on the planet. Its structure is divided into several powerful branches: the ground forces with multiple combat divisions, a navy operating fleets of submarines and missile boats, an air force equipped with aging but numerous aircraft, a strategic rocket force overseeing nuclear and long-range missile capabilities, and an elite special operations corps numbering tens of thousands. Each branch answers directly to the Workers' Party of Korea Central Military Commission, chaired by Jong Un himself. Despite the country's struggling economy, the KPA operates on an estimated budget of $6 billion annually. That figure is remarkable for a state under heavy sanctions, and it underscores Pyongyang's priorities. Much of this funding is funneled into asymmetric capabilities, nuclear weapons programs, ballistic missile development, and cyber warfare. The cyber division, known internationally as Bureau 121, has been linked to sophisticated hacking operations targeting banks, cryptocurrency exchanges, and even entertainment companies abroad. Analysts estimate that these cyber campaigns have brought in hundreds of millions of dollars, ironically helping to fund the very military that sanctions sought to weaken. The KPA also invests in unconventional weapons. Reports suggest research into chemical agents, laser systems, and radar evading technologies. While many of these programs remain shrouded in secrecy, they represent attempts to offset North Korea's lack of advanced conventional hardware compared with the militaries of South Korea, Japan, or the United States. Physical defenses are no less formidable. The Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, remains one of the most fortified borders in the world, lined with minefields, artillery positions, and concrete bunkers. Behind these, North Korea maintains vast reserves of food, fuel, and ammunition, ensuring the military could sustain conflict even during a prolonged blockade. The scale, secrecy, and spending of the KPA show how deeply intertwined the regime's survival is with its armed forces. In North Korea, the army is not just a military, it is the foundation upon which the entire system of power rests. Ministry of State Security, fear as a weapon. While the Supreme Guard Command surrounds Jong Un with physical protection, the Ministry of State Security, or MSS, shields him through fear. Created in the early 1970s, the MSS is tasked with internal security, surveillance, and rooting out dissent. It is not just a spy agency. It is the nerve center of domestic control, ensuring that loyalty to the Kim dynasty is enforced in every neighborhood. At the heart of the MSS's power lies the Inban system, a network of community-level informants embedded into daily life. Every block, workplace, and apartment complex has designated watchers who file reports on conversations, habits, and suspicious behavior. This system, covering nearly the entire population, makes dissent almost impossible to organize. Scholars who have studied defectors note that even private family discussions are often monitored, creating a culture where silence is safety. The MSS employs 10,000s of officers, with a budget estimated in the hundreds of millions of dollars annually, even in a country where average citizens live under shortages. Money is allocated to advanced monitoring equipment, communication interception systems, and maintaining an extensive network of detention facilities. These facilities, ranging from interrogation centers in Pyongyang to rural compounds, are among the most secretive in the country. The ministry has long been associated with ruthless methods, but it also serves a broader strategic function: political survival. Under Kim Jong-il, the MSS expanded its scope, launching purges against rivals within the ruling party and military. Under Kim Jong-il, the organization has undergone reshaping to eliminate factions and concentrate control. Senior officials have been rotated or dismissed, ensuring no internal clique grows too powerful. These purges have been highly publicized within North Korea, sending a message that even the elite are not beyond surveillance. The reach of the MSS also extends abroad. Intelligence analysts believe the ministry coordinates with overseas networks to track defectors, monitor foreign journalists, and influence diaspora communities. Its cyber units overlap with the country's military hackers, targeting communications and financial systems that threaten regime stability. The Ministry of State Security is thus both sword and shield. It cuts down potential opposition while guarding the Kim dynasty's monopoly on power. Together with the Supreme Guard Command, it forms a dual system, one visible, armed with soldiers and weapons, the other invisible, armed with fear and secrecy. Symbolism, secrecy, and survival. In North Korea, security is not just protection, it is theater. Every armored train, every bulletproof limousine, and every formation of bodyguards is carefully staged to send a message of absolute authority. For Kim Jong Un, survival is inseparable from spectacle, and the regime invests millions each year to ensure that his movements are not only safe, but awe-inspiring. The trains alone embody this dual purpose. Kim Jong Un's personal convoy, estimated to be worth over $50 million once accounting for armor, communication systems, and luxury interiors, is designed to project permanence. Its carriages contain meeting rooms that resemble government chambers, dining halls stocked with imported delicacies costing thousands of dollars per journey, and secure communications that allow him to rule even while in motion. Every arrival is choreographed like a royal procession, showing citizens and foreign leaders alike that the dynasty is both untouchable and unchanging. Aircraft and automobiles play a similar symbolic role. His Il-62 Cham jet, with interiors refitted at a cost of tens of millions, is less about efficiency and more about image, a flying state palace. Likewise, his Mercedes Z600 Pullman Guard, valued at $1.6 million, surrounded by running bodyguards, has become one of the most recognizable images of his rule. These assets are not simply modes of transport, they are moving monuments to Kim's power. Decency deepens the aura. Entire hotels are sealed off during visits, with foreign staff replaced by vetted North Koreans. Surveillance equipment worth millions is installed temporarily, then dismantled once the leader departs. Even meals are symbolic. Imported wines, premium beef, and seafood flown in at great expense stand in stark contrast to the austerity imposed on the general population. The disparity is deliberate, reinforcing the idea that Kim inhabits a different, exalted reality. What ties all of these elements together is the message that the leader's security equals the nation's survival. The Supreme Guard Command, the Ministry of State Security, and layers of bodyguards are not just defensive systems, they are rituals of loyalty. By surrounding himself with visible power, Kim turns his very existence into a performance of statehood. Do you think Kim's use of luxury and secrecy is purely about staying safe, or is it also about reminding the world of his dynasty's permanence? Comment, symbol of power if you believe it serves both purposes. You've just seen how Kim Jong Un's security eclipses anything else on the planet. An empire of armored trains, private jets, luxury cars, and a personal army stretching into 6 figures. His running bodyguards, his Supreme Guard Command, and layers of intelligence agencies all converge to keep him untouchable. But behind the spectacle lies a message. In North Korea, the leader's survival is the nation's survival. If this deep dive into power and protection fascinated you, like this video, subscribe to Billionaire Story, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next untold story.